Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Hope you're all well who's watching along. I'm delighted to be joined by John and Franny. How are you both?
Good,
Oh,
mate.
good news, Dave, that we've got it sorted.
I mean, this chat was going wild. There was someone come in there and said he's still a cardboard cutout. It's getting harsh in here, Franny. It's getting harsh. No, but I mean,
I looked like I was a cardboard cutout because it was like just sitting talking. Hear me.
just want to say a big hello to Lawrence Grandis watching along again. Alistair, since you've been gone, 2012, which is Lanky67. We all know who it is. Ryan Kelly's in, Martin Kay's in. Russell Bhoys was in at the start as well. We appreciate all your lovely comments about the start of the show.
But can I just say as well that is that Lanky? Since you've been gone, that is absolutely class name.
It's a cracker, isn't it?
Well done, mate.
It's absolute ball. But I mean, Celtic probably faced their most fatal fixture, John, here in the run-in at Dingwall. Tough venue. Ralston saved us last time in the 94th minute. Went up there again. Not apprehensive, but obviously we knew how tough it would be. They were unbeaten since they actually got beat by us. Funny enough, Malky Mackay's done a decent job there. But all in all, as we always do, summary of the game, it was quite straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, we're clearly dominating the game, possession stats wise. It was all us. They didn't really look. If you were just, I think William was over. He wasn't able to watch the game, but he was looking at the stats, and I think he was saying because if you looked at it on the face of it, by and large we were completely dominant. But there was a few moments during the game where I was clenching a bit. It got me a wee bit nervous. I will be honest.
Yeah, it was one of them games as well. You look at it from the face of it. Dingwall usually wouldn't associate a friendly with a tough fixture, but obviously this season, as we always said at the start, but didn't really expect us to be here. People were saying to be in touch and distance. Now we're 6 points ahead. Potentially, going into this next game, we could go 9 points. Let's not look too far ahead, but that's the kind of situation we're in. But how was that game for you?
Yes, a wee bit similar to John. It was nervy watching, but I think the nerves obviously once that second goal went in, obviously it was late on. It just total calm, absolute calm. But I think it's just because we're that close to achieving what will be an absolute magnificent season, securing a League and League Cup double. Just any wee bits in games, it just makes you more nervous. More nervous than you probably should be. The anxiety kicks in because I've watched the highlights a couple of times in the game and things like that. And like Joe Hart had not a save to make. It was actually never in bother, but there was like take nothing away for Ross County. They had a wee period in the second half for maybe 10-15 minutes where they probably had the lion's share of the possession, like not massively, but they were the more. They had the ball the most, but when you actually look at it, they done absolutely nothing with it. Like Carter Vickers, the staff at the back four were absolutely brilliant. Joe Hart never had to save to make. But I think emotions were kind of getting the better of some of us boys in the chat, and that were just getting a wee bit anxious, a wee bit anxiety in that. And then like John was saying, like Willie's was over there in Naples, and he was like, "I'm shiting myself here because it seems like we're under the cost." But I think it was just 1-0. It's a horrible score, 1-0, even though. Like I say, when you look at it, we were never in bother, but it's 1-0, and until you get that second goal, there's always the nerves. And Dingwall isn't an easy place to go to this season. Fun enough, we were the last team to beat them at Dingwall, so it's not a ground they lost many points on. So it was a massive factor. It's that cliche thing where every game is massive. It's a massive hurdle we've jumped, and that's just where we are at that stage of the season.
100%. And Lanky67 comes in here again with since you've been gone 2012. No matter what alias I use, how do you know it's me? You shites. Well, we're just smart. But you're creative. You're creative. I'll give you that. But in terms of the game, John, we'll just start at the start. We've seen Ross County kind of set their stall out quite early on. Lots and lots of heavy tackles, especially from Callahan at the first kind of thing of the match, first 15 minutes to 20 minutes. A lot of people saying he was kind of taking the lead from what he's seen in the previous game, the likes of Lundstrom getting stuck in and our players. He done the exact same. He was running the tightrope that whole game. But is that not really nothing that bothers you since we got the victory, or is it something to still kind of focus on and sort out as a refereeing standpoint as well?
I mean, the
refereeing.
I know.
5 minutes, boys.
I will say this. I think that the refereeing situation certainly needs to be addressed. I won't dwell on it too much, but I mean, I think just across the board, Scottish referees are absolutely abysmal, and it's not just against us; it's other teams as well. But it definitely needs to be addressed in terms of actual Ross County's tackling against us and or the lack of punishment for some of them. I think that any sort of tackles like that as well, you need to be calling them out, because Callahan, they're dangerous tackles, and you're at risk of injuring players. And for us at this stage of the season, getting injuries isn't ideal. You definitely don't want that in these final run of games, especially coming into this weekend, which is ultimately a decider. And it's, I mean, it pisses me off. You know what I'm like when it comes to referee chat, and
that's why I asked you.
I'll go off, but I'll try and just keep it minimal tonight. But it does need to be addressed. I thought some of the tackles were shocking. Glad that we obviously came away with the 3 points, like we said earlier. It was a bit nerve-wracking at times because we were only up 1-0, and we've seen us in the past. Like just silly goals for set pieces that just come out of nowhere, and there was always that, especially given how important those 3 points were in these final 5 games. You're thinking to yourself, oh, the worst thing that could happen right now is them equalise, because the longer the game sort of drew out, I think the more nervous we got, because we know these things can happen. They can go 80 minutes without having a shot on target, but only takes one. And they were pressuring us a couple of times for 15-20 minutes, as Francis says, and it was a wee bit nerve-wracking. But fuck the referees.
Was it squiggy bum time, John? I mean, you make a great point. The longer that game dragged out, Franny, you're kind of worrying, as John said, the usual set piece coming haunting us, but thankfully it didn't. Ross County were very aggressive early on. The Kamadas, Regan Charles-Cook was getting in about, getting in good positions. The midfield was hassling ours. It was a tasty game, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? How did you feel about the start in terms of what Ross County brought to it? Because usually you would see them sit in, but they definitely come at us like.
Well, in fairness to Ross County, like sometimes teams, no disrespect, but I mean, just got to totally disrespect them. They've got to they will put the boot in from time to time. They'll see what they can get away with. Like the Callaghan challenge, it's a bad challenge, but for me, it was no more than a booking. But it's just one of the ones where, like, going back to the cup semi-final, that's on the referee to stamp that out early doors. In fairness, he did early. He stamped out early at the Ross County game. He booked Callaghan straight off the bat, so he knew he couldn't fly back into more challenges and stuff. So it was just, it's one of that's the referee does that last week, like what Bhoys says. It's a different game because Lundstrom hasn't keep got to fly into challenges. It's one of them, but but more so, like Mark McGee has done a good job at Ross County. They've still got European aspirations. I think slim European aspirations. Malcolm Mackay. Oh, Mark McGee. It's because Mark McGee's just doing all madness and stuff, getting naked, turning his heating off, starving his selling that. It's just madness. So, Malcolm Mackay's actually done a really good job up there. And like I said, Ross County have got European aspirations. So, it was kind of a free hit for them because they could come out. They're not going to drop down any lower than the league. They're not going to drop out the top 6. So, they'll know where they are at the end of the season, so they may as well have a go to try and, they can, to try and get into Europe. So it played into your hands a bit, and like the first half, we could have been absolutely out of sight. Kyogo should score that tap in with the rebounds. A couple other ones that he's unlucky, but apart from what you, aye. I mean,
he loves it, Russell. He loves it.
I'm thinking about McGee naked, and Bhoys is thinking about folks' balls. So it's one of them. If he's watched the Bhoys Plus yesterday, you'll know what I'm talking about. Ross County had a wee go, which was it played into your hands a wee bit. But obviously, when we failed to kill the game off, it made it nervy the longer it went on.
Yeah, I think as well, the way you said a free hit kind of demonstrated that. Really, they're a club who really don't kind of push to the top 6. They're in the European spots and they're coming at us, which is great to see. They wanted to see a team sitting in against Celtic 24/7. So fair play them for having to go. And Ryan Kelly kind of brings this up. That booking also prompted Ralston to win his next 2 challenges, ones that were 50-50, shows his determination. That's a fantastic point. I thought Ralston was excellent against Ross County. But we'll move into some of the kind of the positive news about the game, the kind of vibe around it, and that's Kyogo, John, making his comeback, his first start. Even before we get to this goal, just his importance for the team. You seen that, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely, and I've loved seeing him come back. I think he's been missed. You seen it? I just by him at the end of the game as well. You know how like the Celtic fans when they go up,
It
they
was
say
him.
thanks to the crowd. He kind of led that charge, and you could see how much he loves it. He loves it. He loves the adulation he's getting for the fans, and he loves that sort of the atmosphere and everything. He soaks it all up. But he's fantastic. What a player he is! I love him to bits, and it's great having him back. And he showed, I think, within the first 20, 25 minutes, he could have easily had 3 goals. Like,
easy.
He had a great game. His goal, obviously, you said we'll touch on that, but obviously he taken that well, and he had a few other chances. But he showed how important he is, and it's great when you're losing a player like we saw earlier on the season when we didn't have a Giakoumakis and we didn't have a Kyogo, we were a bit struggling. But knowing that he's back, especially with Giakoumakis taking a knock, it just showed how important he is to the team as well in terms of like the sort of morale. You can see that players feed off him and his energy, and having him and Dyson in the same team is fantastic.
Yeah, I think him and Dyson are going to form some partnership once they get up to speed together. I think it's going to be absolutely frightening. But you look at Kyogo coming back, Franny, and well, obviously the goal will become the head here, but just back in the team, that kind of spark he gives you. And when players like O'Reilly, we signed him from MK Dons, saying in training he hasn't seen a player with movement like him. It's just the kind of person he is. He's so humble, he's so respectful. As John said, he led that chant from the front. He's embodying Celtic Football Club at the moment. I'm not saying he's like a Celtic supporter, no way you get them silence, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But he just definitely gives us all for the cause, doesn't he?
He seems a proper professional football player, and just he plays for the team and not for himself. But I think you've got to credit Ange with that. I think that's the type of players he wants. There's no really any individuals in there. You just look at, like, well, you're the stat man, Stephen, but if you were on the ball, you'd be able to know there's a good spread of goals within the team and things like that. So they're definitely team players more than individuals. And you've seen it, like Giakoumakis has totally stepped up to the plate, and we're all like, including myself, probably. I mean, I probably still would pick Giakoumakis on Sunday, but am I got to be against Kyogo? Probably not. And I think it's a good thing right now because, like John said, we've not had the two of them properly fit and firing at the same time in the season. And what better time to get them both firing fit is for the last few games. And it's great options to have. Him and Maeda looked great at times like that. We won with the play. It was a one-touch football down the wing, and then Kyogo had the shot that went over the bar and stuff. That was just brilliant, just lightning quick between the two of them. Just one-touch passes. It was great. It's good to see Kyogo back. I think last Sunday looked a good bit off the pace, and then obviously Sunday there it looked more like himself, like the player that we've seen where he was doing their runs, getting in their positions, and like you say, that header, that hang time was brilliant.
And then coming on to that goal.
Can I just as well, sorry, just to touch on, or rather add to what Franny was saying, I think him getting that full game, I know Giakoumakis being out injured isn't a great thing, but we know he's coming back, which is fantastic. But Kyogo having that full 90 minutes or that full game under his belt and getting that goal as well, just to get his confidence back. Like I said, he's been out for a prolonged period, and we don't know what he get his match sharpness and everything back. So I think that was absolutely crucial. And like Franny says, getting him and Giakoumakis up to 100% fitness and up to full speed and being able to rotate they two. I agree, starting Giakoumakis on Sunday, but knowing that you've got a Kyogo on the bench who's getting to sort of his peak fitness and he's got that goal under his belt and he's confidence.
Not time for that topic yet.
I'm just saying though. I mean, I'm just obviously alluding to the fact that it's just great knowing you've got that off the bench because he's a fantastic player in his own right.
You know, you stay just winging it on the podcast.
And then to come in here, I think Legranda, who's matched along, sums the goal up perfectly. John, he rose like a bird and picked his spot in the cornerlet. A brilliant ball in by Yada. I can also say, like, Legranda, his wife Christine Legranda, she's in hospital at the moment with a bad fall, broken arm. So just want to wish her well as well. And thankfully, you're watching along, Granda. So hopefully, we keep you company. And in terms of the goal, John, it was a fantastic ball in by Yada, possibly finding the smallest man, bar Maeda, on the pitch. As Granda said, he rose like a bird, picked a spot. Classy finish, wasn't it?
I would do the least. I did not expect it at all. We've repeatedly said in this podcast in previous episodes, floating balls into the box when you've got a Maeda or a Kyogo leading the line is silly because they're undersized and they're never getting up over bigger defenders. Ross County are a physical team, so it's no something you would have expected. So I was surprised first and foremost, and I thought, but how he found the space. He managed to. I don't know how he managed to hit the height he did, and he seemed to levitate there for a few seconds, and it connected with
Larson-esque.
Beautiful.
I'm going more Ronaldo-esque.
I was going to say,
I'm going bigger.
It's because Ronaldo, it's just the height he got. I was surprised by, and the way he rose for it, and he met it, he connected with it perfectly. He seemed his hang time was unreal. I don't know how. I mean, we know he's the biggest guy in the team. Like you said, he's quite possibly the smallest, but you wouldn't have known that with the way he jumped for that ball.
It was beautiful. And Mr. Diet's back in here. I remember I thought his name was French. That was funny. But he's back in. Kyogo will get a couple on Sunday if he sharpens his finish in Francis. And to be fair to him, like obviously he's a wee bit of ring rust, building that match fitness up. He did miss a couple of sitters, like the one-on-one with the keeper. He should have picked the corner and buried it. But that goal, the header, just catapulted us to that victory, in my opinion. It was just fantastic.
And like I said, it was a fantastic header. Like Callum McGregor's pass out to Jota is brilliant as well. Like everything about that goal was brilliant. I think it was Taylor won it. No, Starfelt won it out wide, I think. And the defence just gave it to McGregor. He pings the ball out to Jota, and Jota just kind of cut the wee jinks inside and out, and just it gets a great dip on a cross. I think it's a wee bit underrated how good a crosser Jota actually is. The way he sort of just curls it and it dips down and stuff, and obviously Kyogo's movement just to get in between the middle of the two centre halves, and the ball pretty much makes it just how it's where he needs to be. In great leap, great header into the corner. Keeper absolutely no chance, but he should have. I think if he gets his sharpness, he'll score more goals. Like I say, that 1-on-1 he should have scored. His offside one that turns out wasn't offside, so he's kind of been denied a goal. Then he scuffs the one that actually hits the bar. That was a difficult chance. That's a difficult chance. I'll let him away with that one, and then the 1-2 one. I'm going to cut him some slack with that. I thought that was a difficult chance. I felt he should have hit the target, but I felt that was a wee bit of a difficult chance. He definitely should have scored the 1-on-1. There's no denying that.
But he was absolutely.
He was
exactly.
Again.
He was dynamite. And
it was
Bhoys, take us back. Come back in here, John. No, we'll do. We open the pack of biscuits. We'll take a few bites now on this kind of topic, right? Why does it have to be a Kyogo or Chaos Giakoumakis? He likes to call them. I think that's a good name. Start both as well as Maeda and Jada and remove the number 10. Zero pressure us. Go for their throats. What do you think about that?
I mean, I would love to see it. I just can't see Ange doing it. I mean, but we've touched on this previously as well, and I'm sure Bhoys would agree with it. The way that Ange sets up his team seems to be set in stone. That doesn't seem to be changing. He's no sort of deviated for that at any point that I can remember since he's came in. But having these guys and knowing that you've got that sort of rotation, you could essentially start. You're dropping somebody though, like Jota, for example, or dropping an Abada, but having a Giakoumakis, a Kyogo, and a Maeda leading the line as your front three, and any sort of combination of thing. But it just again, it sort of testament to the depth and the level of depth that we've got in the squad at the minute. And like I say, we're spoiled for choice, and the fact that we can have these discussions, I think, is fantastic. So, Bhoys, I would love to see it, mate. I just can't.
I think I agree with you there, John. I think if Postecoglou wanted to do something like that, Franny, he would already tried it. Obviously, it's a great luxury to have in terms of having Kyogo, Giakoumakis fully fit. You could do that 4-2-4 type formation to just go all out attack, obviously. But where do you stand? Me personally, yes, I would like to see it, but I think I'm on the side with John here, which is very rare. I just don't believe that'll happen.
I think it's the same opinion all around here. Like it's Postecoglou seems set on this sort of 4-3-3 kind of formation, so I can't see him deviating from it. Whether you could potentially put Kyogo, Giakoumakis, and Maeda up as a front three, but obviously that's meaning Jota. You could potentially even drop Kyogo into the 10. I don't know how well he would.
I thought about that.
He could maybe play as the 10, keeps it sort of the 4-3-3 type thing, and maybe play Kyogo as a 10. So, like John said, it's great options there. It's a great way to debate. I I would love an old school 4-4-2 type idea for time to time. Just like you said, big chaos up front with Kyogo, that I think would be absolutely brilliant sometimes. But it's 4-4-2 is just not the fashionable formation these days, is it? You've got to go these 4-3-3s, 4-2-1-3s, whatever the number is.
3-5-2.
It's got to be fashionable. Nobody seems to. It's not cool to do 4-4-2 anymore. But I would love to see it from time to time. It just Ange just seems set on these 4-3-3 type formation.
Yeah, and again, Boyce's back in here. I'm loving this. And he's coming. My concern has become predictable for tactic. I mean, what I would say to that is, if we were predictable, people or in the SPFL would have already tried to figure us out. I think Postecoglou can adapt. I've seen a lot of people saying he has no plan B, but when you see when it clicks, there's no team in the domestic football that can live with us. And yes, I do believe sometimes a variation in a tactic, as you said, Franny, if you change that to a 4-4-2, if you're struggling, put the tall one up with a wee one. Do you know what I mean? But what do you think about that, John?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, we've not seen Ange really deviate for sort of plan A at this point, at least from what I can remember. But I mean, it's like I said, it's an interesting conversation to have, and again, you could say it is somewhat predictable, but what the element of unpredictability, I guess, within that is that you've got a player, like you might set up a team to cover Jota on the left, and then we switch him to the right, or Maeda on the left, and we put him through the middle. I mean, the fact that we can rotate these guys through various different positions within that setup is unpredictable, and I think that causes problems as well.
Yeah, 100%. And do you agree, Franny?
Yeah, very much so. It's just you could play guys in various different positions and stuff. Yeah, the setup will be the same and the style of play will be the same. So, in that sense, I understand that we can come up a bit predictable. But then, if you're changing personnel and trying to keep it fresh with maybe new signings, that's slightly changing it up. I know that's, again, I think what Bhoys is more talking about is the system, how we're set out to play. So, who the personnel is to an extent shouldn't really matter. Teams should know the way we're going to set up and how we're going to play. So I think it could be a concern, but then you look at teams like Liverpool and Man City. I know they're like two of the best teams on the planet right now, but everybody knows how they're going to play, and not many teams can deal with them. So maybe Ange just try to do something similar to that, which I would be more than that. I'm not obviously putting on as a pedestal how they're going to play, but it's two teams that everybody knows how they're going to play, but really anybody can compete with them.
100%. And just we won for you, John. Hi, John. Your granddad took me to my first Celtic game, and your granddad was some player himself. We've had a family trivia there for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've my dad's always told me that. I mean, this is off topic, but my granddad died before I was born.
I never got that in the topics list.
He was a really young man himself when he passed, unfortunately. But I've heard all the stories about him as a footballer, and I've seen the pictures. My great uncle Lawrence is in here. It's obviously nice to speak to you. But can you confirm what was the team that he played for? Because my dad's got a photo, and he can't remember the team, but it's my granddad's in that, and I've got a couple of trophies sitting in front of them, and they look like they're wearing hoops. I'm just interested to know what team that was, because my dad can never remember.
He'll be back pretty soon with that one, John. Don't worry. And then, Franny, this is interesting. I think this is a great point. Paul Dabb back in here again. Don't worry about it, not done anything wrong. I can't get looking. Now, this is bringing me on to Jota. Nice wee side note here, Dad. Thanks very much. And you look at Jota, we all kind of said that he was off form, which he was. But he came back with a banger. Lovely assist, and he got the last goal, which pretty much wrapped up the game for us at Ross County. But Abada and Jota on that right-hand side, if Maeda's playing on the left, it's a difficult one, isn't it? That's a position where you're going. Yeah. Abada's basically our second top goal scorer, 11 assists or whatever it is, and I don't think he's even included in the Young Player of the Year awards for the Scottish FA.
Madness if he's no. I don't know. I don't know. I'm saying it's madness if he's no.
But where do you stand with the Jota thing? Can you drop Jota and play Abada? It's a bit.
I suppose you can. It's one of the ones I would not be against at the end of the day, because you can't argue with what Abada's done. And equally, like say, Jota he wasn't performing at the standards we know he can perform and stuff. Then obviously at the weekend they turned in a really good performance, and hopefully he kicks on for the remaining games of the season. But I do kind of agree, as per with Abada to an extent, we've almost, I wouldn't say we forgot about him, but
he was a superstar last month.
I think we've got to remember, he's 20 now. He came in when he was 19. I feel he's a wee bit a wee bit streaky than now. He'll go through periods where he's absolutely on fire, then he'll kind of go off the boil a wee bit. But I put that down to experience. He's a winger, still only 20-year-old and stuff. Similar to Jota, who's a wee bit slightly older than that. I just think wingers at a young age are a wee bit streaky at times, and they will go through periods where they just didn't perform as well as they can. And that, without actually looking at it, I think if you actually had to really look at Abada, it probably goes on periods where he'll score a few goals every maybe scoring 3 or 4 games or something, get a few assists in there, then he'll add none of that for the next 3 or 4 games and suddenly just go on it. So it's probably is poor way about Abada, but then I think it all goes back to how good the squad is right now. It's one of the ones. It's no bad thing. I just think him and Jota, they're 2 young wingers. They tend to be streaky at that age until they develop and really properly understand their position.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what I'm going to do to you, John, right now, don't you? I mean, Uncle John's out. We're all out in fort. The Tomlinsons are out here. And he says, sorry.
I'm just going to watch the football, right? You just tell me when you want me.
He said, sorry, but Jota isn't the player I see. You guys see, when I seen him, yes, he's good against smaller teams, but against bigger teams, he just doesn't do it for me. I think that's a fair comment.
I mean, lately, he's been off the boil lately. I don't think there's any sort of... We can't really disagree that maybe the past 6 or 7 games, he's not been the kind of player that he was earlier on in the season. But I think that's a wee bit overreactive. He's coming for you. I still think Jota's a player, and we've seen what he's capable of. And I mean, I don't think that obviously he's going. Any player performs better against a smaller team, but he showed that he's a capable player, and I think he's still got a lot to offer. And he's still a young guy as well, and he's only going to develop. And Benfica wouldn't be interested in offering him a new contract or keeping him if they didn't see potential either. So.
Yeah, I 100% I agree with that. Like,
I just want to add as well what Francis was saying about the whole Abada Jota situation, because obviously we started Jota initially playing on the left. Now we've got Maeda sort of starting there. Jota's been switched to the right. Abada's kind of been pushed out of the team. But again, it plays into that whole thing about the squad depth and knowing that if 60, 70 minutes down the line, you've got an Abada who can come on, is fantastic, because we've got strength in just about every single position. Yeah,
I agree, 100%. Squad rotation instead of location. Better breath. But I think this clears it up for you. It was our local FC called the Standard. They cleaned up over here, so there you go, Joe.
Okay. I'll let my dad
100%. But look, see in terms of that game, come to yourself, Ronnie, first again for this. Another vital win, right? And people are saying the title race is over, but do you think that victory against Ross County does seals it?
I mean, I said after the win at Ibrox it sealed it, so I'm still on that ship, Stephen. We have to drop points in 3 games out of 4. I don't see how we lost the league for here. We're on 28 games in the league unbeaten, drew 4 and won 24. I nearly got my maths way wrong there. So I just, looking at that form, I don't see how you lost. You need to lose 3 games, but I don't see how you drop points in 3 games out of 4 with that sort of record. So it's for me, the league is done. It's just mathematically it's not done, but in my head, I'm just waiting for the party. But equally saying that, I'm still getting totally nervous watching the football, because it's just I feel we're that close to it. And I cannot wait.
Alistair Jack comes in, 78 points out of 86. I know that's a great return. And I think, John, I've seen obviously a lot of like these things been posted on social media about the decades and stuff and who's won the most. I think bar one decade from the 50s right up till now, bar the 90s, Celtic have won more leagues. I think I've seen that on Twitter today. Someone's probably going to come back.
I've seen it as well.
Aye, you know what I'm on about. But it just kind of proves our dominance in a domestic setting from even 2000 up till now. I think we've won, but they've won 5, I believe, or something like that. We've won the rest. It's just a great record, isn't it? If we get this over the line, touch wood.
No, obviously. I mean, there's not much I can really say. Listen, I've not seen. You'd have to go back and look at that. I don't believe everything I read online. I like to do a bit of fact checking myself sometimes. So when I seen it, I was surprised. It doesn't seem like it's completely made up. I mean, it makes sense. I don't see why it's not true. But listen, the most important, regardless of all that, actually, like the most important thing is just wrapping things up this year and adding to that.
Yeah, and then getting in the bounty for the Champions League at 40 million quid. And there's a newcomer to the show, I believe. I haven't seen this.
Sorry,
haven't seen this name before. Alex Craig. This is the most football Jada has played. Add to the fact he's injured and not a surprise that his former with Patsy. Totally agree.
That's a valid
totally
point,
agree.
by the way.
I was listening to me.
I was going to say as well, it's funny because we've obviously, like, we've all said it at the same. So you go back and listen to us last season. We started this podcast. It was absolute shite because every week we were talking.
All right, John.
I don't mean
don't
the
listen to
podcast.
that.
I don't mean the podcast itself, obviously, but I'm talking about the content because we weren't getting the results, and it was a wee bit. You were like listening to it, and you're going, "It's just we never had much to really celebrate or cheer about," and then we had all that nonsense with the manager situation. Anne's coming in, and then I was thinking it's going to take a couple of years, if anything, to rebuild. If you were offered at the start of the season, would you take what we've got, a League Cup? And like Francis says, mathematically it's not wrapped up, but I think the league's done. So if you'd have said you win the league and the League Cup at the start of the season, you'd have ripped the hand off whoever offered you that. And it's funny because I've been seeing Rangers fans. I just wanted to add this in because it made me laugh. But I've been seeing Rangers fans that are saying, in all fairness to them, they've done well in the Europa League, but they've said that if they were offered at the start of this season to make, no get any further than this, so let's just establish that to make a Europa League semi-final and to make a Scottish Cup final, that they would take that over a league and cup double, Champions League football next year, and a 40 million windfall. It's hilarious.
Whatever helps us sleep at night, John.
It just shows you that this is how hurt they are, though. And it's
your coping mechanism. You do it the opposite way about it. It's one of the ones. It's what you do to cope with. It's you know the league's all but done, and it's you just try and make up excuses to make yourself feel better at the end of the day.
Exactly.
100%. And Alistair Jack sums it up here for me. 15-6. That's a fantastic record. And we'll dip our toes into the Derby game. The clincher could be the final one to wrap up the league, even though I believe it's already wrapped up. But just to beat them at Parkhead and just be like, shovel up you, John. And Kyogo or Giakoumakis, we've talked about it a bit, but let's kind of confirm it. Who you going with and why?
Giakoumakis, because I think we missed him in the cup game. I think his presence was missed. He sort of listen. It's going to be a physical game, and you kind of need that. And somebody like with his stature leading the line, he can hold the ball up, he can bring other players in. We've seen he's good at getting on the end of balls as well, because we obviously like playing balls into the box. So yeah, I think Giakoumakis is important for me. I would start O'Reilly ahead of Rogic, and I would maybe even start Turnbull ahead of Hatate, just because Hatate's obviously blowing his ass at the minute. And he said it himself. He's like, you can see he's a wee bit off the pace now. He had a decent game against Ross County, but he said he's knackered. And this, again, like Maeda, he's just come back for a full season in Japan. It's like, just give him a rest. And based on the last game, Rogic has kind of been off the boil the past couple of games. I think he's saying as well, he's feeling homesick and he might just need a wee break, or I was reading that's the case anyway, and he might just need a wee break, and that might be playing into it as well. So I would start O'Reilly and Giakoumakis.
Yeah, 100%. And Granda's back up with a great point here, Franny. Don't go by the hand. The performance will be a different team this Sunday. Let's hope, because I believe we will. And get into it. You look at it, Kyogo obviously come back, first start in a while. Absolutely fantastic, gets his goal, proves vital for the team. Giakoumakis comes on, obviously does his usual, kind of bustling himself. And where do you stand? Me, I'll give you mine first. I would go with Giakoumakis. I'm with John. I'm with John. This one again. Jeez, 2 for 2. I just believe that the game of Parkhead especially, he bossed the centre halves, he kept them occupied, brought other players into play. Kyogo offers you a different dimension. Obviously, he can come off the bench, or even if he starts, I don't know, maybe on the left or the right, whatever. Postecoglou's a mastermind of all that. He'll figure it himself. But me personally, Giakoumakis. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going Giakoumakis as well. Will I be surprised that if Kyogo plays? Probably not. I think he's maybe, well, I don't know if it is his favoured one, but I I wouldn't be surprised if Kyogo starts, but personally for me, I would start Giakoumakis, just like you said. He occupies the defence. He's got that physical presence to bully them as well, and he also always gets into great positions. Like even at Ross County, he was unlucky not to score the one that Jota obviously knocked in and stuff. It always seems to find that wee extra yard, gets in front of the defender, just always seems to manage it. So for me, I'd be starting Giakoumakis and get a good 60 minutes out of him. Defender's knackered and Kyogo comes on. It's not a bad position. Not a bad position.
No.
Alistair Jack, he agrees. DT up top. I think that's kind of unanimous. Obviously, if Kyogo was fully match fit, playing 15 games in a row, you would just...
I reckon I'd still go Giakoumakis, mate.
Really?
In this game.
By the way, that's another point again. If he does start Kyogo, you've got Giakoumakis coming off the bench with 20 or so minutes left.
And I'll be knackered with running.
Exactly. So I mean, it definitely puts us in a much stronger position having both of them available.
Put it like this, I'm not going to if it's Kyogo or Giakoumakis through the middle, I'm not complaining what one starts.
No. They're both quality in their own ways. Like, and obviously the people who are watching will obviously cover this game more extensively on our Friday podcast. But to go into the game, John, worries, any kind of nervousness or from the team selection or even a personal feeling from yourself? Is there anything that kind of worries you from the game coming up here at all? And I mean, don't be like, no, but just anything.
I mean, I wouldn't say worried per se. I still think that we're the better side. I still think we're the stronger side. I think that our performance at Hampden was a blip. I mean, it's as poor as I've seen us play, and we let them dominate midfield for the majority of the game. I don't think that's going to happen again. The biggest concern for me is losing Juranovic. I still have every confidence that Ralston's going to be able to come in and play that position and do a job. But having Juranovic out is definitely a concern because you need his sort of pace. And he brings other stuff to the team as well. Not just goals and assists, but I think he'll be a loss. But I mean, I'm going to say nah, because I'm confident. And I have every reason to be confident. And what kind of good is it going to do is if we start doubting whether or not we're capable on Sunday. So I'm confident, mate.
It's not more about being capable. I'm coming across. Is there anything that kind of uneases you? Because we've seen the last game, while it might have been a blip, they ran the game, they beat us. Like Bassey was kind of nullified our attacking threats, and they were just all over us in the sense we didn't match that kind of physicality, Francis. And it's something not concerned me, but it's something I think Postecoglou probably has. And he, as I said, he's a mastermind. He's probably addressed it. Wee tweaks here and there. Is there anything from your opinion that you kind of go, hope that gets sorted for this game?
Well, I suppose Rangers might take a bit of confidence for the semi-final because ultimately they won the game, but it was after extra time, well into extra time. So if you want to, I know it's a bit of a moot point, but essentially we drew that game if it was a league game. So we played pretty poor and still essentially came away with a point, so to speak, if you want to look at it in that sense. But I just, with everything that's at stake, I don't envision any real issues. I don't, because what we know, Postecoglou will probably have it drilled into him all week. Callum McGregor, Joe Hart, probably the same, saying what, obviously not being mathematical, but if we win the game, it's 9 points with 9 to play. But what we're on the cusp of achieving, if we get a positive result, I think that will drive a lot of players on. There'll be a wee bit of adrenaline. It'll maybe give them an extra 5%, 10% worth of fitness in that. So I think for me, no, because all the pressure is on Rangers. All the pressure is on Rangers. They need this to. They need a draw is useless for them. Absolutely useless for them as well. They need to win. Because if they do win, it puts a big element of doubt in their head because it's down to 3 points with 3 to play.
Yep.
You know, you can't really afford to lose. And you really need to start winning games. So for them, they need to come out, which could play into our hands because it will open up spaces and stuff. But with what's on, what's there to be won and what's there to be lost, I think it plays in our favour. And the fact that Balogun's going to be out, so it's a player they're missing. Ramsey, who hasn't really set the header on fire, but he is a good player in his day, and he's showed it in a couple of games recently that he could be an influence. And then Kemar Roof as well is missing. So they're missing some players as well, which is not ideal. So I just everything gives me confidence that we'll get the result that we want to be for me to celebrate with 2 wins on Sunday, because my missus is away to Liverpool for the weekend.
You're on the baby sit. Another new name that's come in here is
bear in mind as
Nicola.
well that we're at home. I think Nicola's the
exactly,
other side to Glasgow. Welcome in, Nicola.
Welcome in, Nicola. Thanks for joining us. Came away with a point, heard it all now, laughing. I mean, if you're laughing, you're having fun, so fair enough. But yeah, what we will say, John?
I was just saying, just remember as well, we're in the driving seat. We're at home. They're, as Francis says, they're missing players as well. We're definitely got a stronger team going into the game, and I think James says that with the crowd behind us, we'll do them. I completely agree.
I just hope we put a board up, the arch up, and he cinch all the way around it,
and don't tape it up, just to
just to cinch it. Every advertisement board.
Do you know what I'd like to see? The entire just the entire north stand or something. Just a big tifo, a big cinch tifo.
Just to annoy them, man. Just to annoy them.
We'll put it like we'll put Glasgow Derby along the billboards and
all
that kind of thing like
that. Aye. Anything to wind them up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a great position to put ourselves in, and I think we can all echo that. I mean, Postecoglou for me, he's done a fantastic job. And just a wee side note, John, to kind of end the show, the support up in Dingwall were absolutely fantastic from start to finish. The way they got behind the team, the pulling them through that game. And I heard someone describe it like a carnival atmosphere. I can't remember if that was Russell Bhoys himself after one of his post-match piss shows, which were quite entertaining. But he did say something along those lines. But what do you think about the support this season? It's been excellent. Like,
it's always excellent. And I think Celtic's travelling support has been fantastic, and especially this season because we've been needing it. I mean, I don't really know how much you want me to add to that. Fair play to them. I mean, to take the trip all the way up north is quite. You got to applaud them.
And yourself, Franny, what do you think about that?
Nah, same as John. You've got to the support has been absolutely fantastic this season, especially obviously at home it's been great, but especially away from home as well. Like times where it's maybe, especially in the early season, where it was a wee bit nervy at times. But Postecoglou was still obviously trying to implement his style. Players were still trying to find his feet. Every game, I can't remember any game where the fans have turned on the players. Essentially, they've always had their support, and even like Sunday, they know they're close. There's no point in the fans getting nervous when things, although like we touched on the Ross County game, when you look at it in isolation, but we're never really looking like lost in that game. But obviously we were getting nervous maybe sitting in the house watching it, so you maybe expect the fans who are there witnessing it live, feeling it, or maybe get more nervous and stuff. So it's good that they've not got nervous, which can then sort of transmit onto the team and stuff sometimes. If you a wee slack pass and all fans are like groaning and getting on them. So it's been great that just the fans have stuck with the team for every minute of the game that I can remember anyway.
They've been absolutely immense. And Nicola's back in here. Weren't excellent last year. You're 100% right. Nicola again, there were a few meltdowns last year. There was. 100%.
We had a few on this podcast.
You can go back and listen to them if you want. They're actually very entertaining when you listen back to them. And then Mr. Dad back in, Hart, Taylor, Starfelt, CCV, Ralston, Kalmack, Rozic, Hatate, Diala, Meda, Kyogo. For him, Brian Kelly, I'm in the JMAC as the start camp, but in Kyogo's events, with the factor of massive home support behind him, if he's starting up top instead, what do you think about that?
As I say, I'm with him. I would go with Giakoumakis, but if Kyogo's starting up front, I'm not against it, Steve. I'm absolutely not against it right now.
I would agree. And I think whoever you start, just knowing that the other one's available to come off the bench is a massive plus.
You're not starting one because the other one's injured or whatever. It's both are clearly fit. I'd say them all right. I just hope there's no tackling and training this week.
Just nothing. Just no training.
Passing. Just pass it to each other. Not even running. Just pass it.
James comes in. Great talk again. That's not the end, James, because we're moving on to a badly kind of quiz that I just conjured up the last 2 minutes myself here. So.
Why do we do this when I'm on?
Because it's fantastic. The
Part of the
entertainment
show,
factor
John.
is
Part of the show,
brilliant.
John.
I mean, it's win-win for me because we know going into it, I'm going to lose. But if I win,
Well,
All right.
if you win, you have to do a Mark McGee and get naked.
Naked.
that's not happening.
Right.
Turn your-
So we'll
turn your
crack
heating
on.
up
Obviously, quiz time. People in
not
the
unless you
comments.
pay me.
then.
You, John, off the comments. Get off them.
Aye. Oh, aye. How do I know?
Get
he's
you
up
on
for
something.
Comments.
How do I know?
Get
he's
you
up
on
for
something
it?
else. And you too, Franny, off your phone.
I'm
You
not.
need that. I can see you.
Aye. I'm just trying to get the viewing numbers up. See my club.
No, but fair enough. What's this here?
Yeah.
Could have
That's
sworn
my
that
phone.
the Derby build-up was meant to be Friday night. Ah, well, we'll start a wee bit
Oh,
early.
yeah.
We've got plenty of.
You'll
of
get into
topics
much
to
more
talk about.
detail on Friday, I'm sure.
Surely Anthony's on Friday, yeah? Is he?
Right, the quiz. 5 questions, first of 3, between Franny and John. Are you ready?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Question 1. In which season did Celtic first compete in the Champions League group stage?
2006.
No, Franny.
03, 04?
Both wrong. 2001 did a 2002
So would
season.
have been Martin O'Neill's season.
They defeated Ajax 3-2 in aggregate to qualify for the
Aye.
group stage.
I was in Benidorm in the Shamrock Bar watching that game.
I well done help you, did it? Question
Clearly
2.
No, not one bit.
Question 2. Which was the only trophy Celtic won in 2000?
The Scottish Cup.
League Cup.
Yeah, John's got it. That's one. Scottish League Cup.
Hey,
This
hold
was
on.
the
What one was it?
only-
What one was it? Whoa.
This was the
Was it the
Whoa.
League Cup or the Scottish Cup?
Scottish League Cup.
Hmm.
This was
I
the
just
only
read it.
trophy
The
of
C-
the.
The CIS Insurance Cup, or was it the Scottish FA Cup? The one
John
that played
got
in May.
John got it.
All right.
Douglas and Barnes, they won it. Love them guys. Question 3. Who was Celtic's first ever manager?
Well, Amelie.
One each. How long was he in charge for?
Oh, for
40 years.
Oh!
Oh,
Oh! That was
39.
a great shot. No, 43. Jeez,
Oh,
oh.
wow, way, John. I was never there. Like,
That was a
I
great shout, though.
I just
Very
don't-
close.
I knew
I know.
that he was there for like he's the longest serving. I knew he was there for quite a while.
Oh,
all right.
he's hosting. He's hosting. Give him respect.
Oh, shot caller. You've done your shift this week.
Right, still one each. Still, shut up, Franny. You think? Still one each. Question 4. Lubo was brought to Celtic from which German club?
Oh, you've asked this before.
I know I have.
And I was on.
There's only so many Celtic questions in the world, Franny.
Oh, I hope you've got many more. Because I don't think me or John's getting this one.
Lubo was brought to Celtic from which German club? Comments, come on, get involved here.
Freiburg.
Oh, no. Franny.
Just guessing game.
Nah, I'm just going to say Hanover. I know it's no Hanover.
No. MSV Duisburg.
Aye.
Right.
Ah.
And according to this kind of list of questions, this is an easy one. Which Celtic manager signed Lubo Mirajovic?
Joseph
Joe
Ingles.
Bengals.
Franny got it. 2-1. 2-1. Right. Woo. What question be all nice? 6, I think, isn't it?
Oh, no. It's 2-1 then.
It's 2-1, sorry. Who scored the only goal of the game when Celtic defeated Rosenborg at Celtic Park in a group stage match in October 2001?
Mark Burchill.
No, Franny.
Right. Alan Thompson.
Oh, he gets it out of the bag.
Was it?
3-1. Alan Thompson.
Worst-
Fair
that
play
was
to you.
The worst ping
Fair
ever.
play to you. And Mullen. There's Alistair Tacken. Monty went with Larson. No, Thompson's the right one. Alistair and Franny's got it.
I tell
Franny
you,
won that
Alistair's
quiz.
quick on that Google, as I know.
Oh, he's quick. He's quick. The big man is quick. But in terms of the podcast, that's us finished, guys. Have you
Alexa,
enjoyed
who
this one?
scored?
Have you enjoyed this one?
Aye,
It's been good. It's been good. It's getting fun times. It's getting close.
Minus the
Yeah.
quiz, I
Stevens.
enjoyed it.
It's getting close to
It's
being
getting-
a really good podcast.
100%. What do you mean getting closer? It was a really good podcast, you cheeky dick.
I can't wait till it's official.
The party will be insane. Beers will be
feel
flying.
it. I hope we
But-
play that as well if we beat them on Sunday.
Could you imagine the scenes? Whoa.
Love it. I'd love it.
Oh. But I mean, I just want to point to the comments again. The directions been great from everyone watching. Just to mention a few names: Alzer, Jack, Monty, Jed, Ryan Kelly. Everybody names are just flying from my head right now. The Boise bus was on at one point. And I think
Nicola Sturbin for joining in.
Nicola, yeah, thanks for joining us. It was great to have you on board. But in terms of the show, guys, in terms of the podcast, until Friday when we talk about the Derby game more in depth, to everyone who's watching and listening on catch up, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.